And we are live. I'm going to get this link sent out a couple places here. Good morning, everyone. Emperador Maximiliano back with Andre from Edgeful, one of my favorite people in the whole world. Andre, good to see you again. How are you this morning?
Great to see you, man. I'm great. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Also one of my favorite people in the world. People that, well, what you specifically, we just like see eye to eye on so much. So it's always great to talk trading with you. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, market coming in a little bit right now. We are matching yesterday's low on NQ and
Yep.
QQQ. So a little bit of a move going on here. We had the CPI this morning. You look at the market right now, trading all-time highs. I don't know what you think
Yeah.
about this. I had this conversation with some people yesterday, and I think the consensus was we love it for our long-term portfolios, and we absolutely hate it as day traders. It makes things
Yeah.
much more difficult. And one
Yeah.
way that I've navigated that a little bit better, I slow down just in general, all-time highs. I look at the bigger picture. We're,
Yeah.
we're in a breakout, right? But we haven't really had a back test yet. We're kind
Yeah.
of just trickling down, lower highs, slightly lower lows the last 2 to 3 trading sessions. So
Yeah.
now it's, for me, I think it's more imperative than ever to kind of really rely on some of the data. I mean, I've really been looking at a few extra of these reports. We've talked about it on Spaces. We've talked about it on some live streams I've been on. Just looking at, the IB report, for example, is one that comes to mind real fast, where the initial balance, we get that first hour of the market. And one of the stats that I really like, and I focus on NQ probably more than anything because that's what I know
Yeah.
the best, but I watch ES very closely as well.
Yeah.
NQ, for example, when you look at when one side of that IB is broken, there's like a 3 to 4% chance that we break the other side of it.
Which one is it? Are you on the New York session?
Yes, I believe so. And I've gone back further than 6 months. I usually use like year to date or 2 years.
Okay.
That's kind of my go-to there. Oh
Yeah.
wow, it's even
No,
lower. Look at that.
that's the no breaks.
Oh, no break. Yeah, no breaks.
This
No
is no
breaks.
breaks. Yeah. So you want to expect one of the sides to break. The double
Yes.
break is only 20, is close to 20% of the
22.
time.
Okay. That's okay. That's what it is. Actually, I think in my head I was going with the orb double breaking within that next candle. That's the report in my head. But
Yeah.
let's stay on the IB real fast. That's the other
Yeah.
report, and that's why I have Edgeful pulled up all day long, because I can go, okay, what was that actual stat? And this is a great example to get there.
Yeah.
But the IB, for example, which we still got another 20 minutes or so until that
Yeah.
IB finally forms. But this is something I've looked at a lot lately too. When I see, okay, which side of this first hour are we going to break? Especially like when we're in a range day, when we're kind of in the middle. If we
Yeah.
break one side of that, then I'm typically going to sit there and go, okay, maybe I play this back to the middle if I get some type of reversal look, but I'm
Yeah.
not looking for it to go break that other side, because the
Correct.
22%, I just don't like that probability.
Yeah.
But that's one I've been looking at as we're up here at all-time highs. I don't know if you have any thoughts, Andre, about trading all-time highs, or just I mean, I know you're like me. We rely on the data very, very
Yeah.
heavily, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty much every trade I'm in, right? I have some
Yeah.
type of data with it. But do you even lean in a little bit harder now when we're up here in kind of uncharted waters?
For sure. And you know what's really important to me when we are in uncharted waters is taking high quality setups and being able to sit on your hands. It's so important to be able to sit on your hands and not, like, let's say you're trading with a prop firm, not blow your account, or if you're trading with your real capital, not like losing half of your account because you can't sit on your hands and you lose half your account in one day. Because what happens when you're at all-time highs is you're at undiscovered prices. There's not really any like previous resistance, previous support when you're like all the way up there where it's kind of like new territory. So if you are going to trade something, and like this is the way that I like to do it, is where I'll only look to take very simple and very easy setups. Like the gap fill, I mean, I've talked about this so much, And like we talk about it in like personally on the side too, like even off stream, we talk about it. I'm just like, this gap fill is the most bread and butter, easy setup, like layup day after day. If people just didn't overcomplicate it and like literally, I mean, I can't even think of another word than just overcomplicate it. They could make money at all-time highs as long as you're taking the good setups. I saw a tweet that you made the other day. You're like 90% gap fill on NQ with a gap of this size. And it's just like people arguing with you about it. And you're like, I'm taking these odds. It's a high probability setup. Even though we're at all-time highs, I'm going to take this anyway because it's a high probability setup. And it worked, obviously, because we rely on the data. And we're not relying on our emotions. We're not relying on our opinion or anyone on Twitter's opinion. We rely on facts. And that something that really helps.
That's where I think it gets the most important, because when you see like I mean the breakout we had post-election, right, where we just flew and we had multiple days to the upside, and I was starting to look at it. I'm going, okay, you know, several metrics here are telling me just from basic TA that hey, we're way overbought. You know, there's over exuberance in the market, right? And for me, I love the short side because it moves faster, and you know, I'm looking at it, I'm going, okay, this thing needs to pull back, but it's a dangerous game. And so I was patient Wednesday, I was patient Thursday, and even Friday, I was still like, okay, it's just something's got to give here. But if you look at that Friday overnight session into Monday.
Are you looking at NQ?
On NQ, yes.
Yeah.
The Friday overnight into Monday, and I got short like really close to the open. Was able to get a trim, and it popped back up. It actually stopped me out, went to a new high, and you can see the new high.
This day?
Yes.
This Monday.
Yes, so it was that night, the Sunday night before. So if you look, that Sunday night,
okay,
right there, I shorted there, and I got back down to the previous day high, took out half, and I ended up getting stopped out overnight. I left the runners overnight, got stopped out. But my trade was still there, and the data was still there. The gap fill was still there. And so I actually got right back into the trade at the open on Monday morning. You see, we came back down right in that open. I got right back into the same trade. And it took a while to play out. And once it finally did, I actually stayed in the trade longer because I was looking at ES. ES had the same setup and the same probability, and its gap had not filled yet. So I used two different tickers, or two different futures contracts with the same data setup to basically take, call it a trade and a half at that point, because the trade had played out on NQ, but on ES it still hadn't played out. So I was like, I still see some more downside. And if you don't mind, Andre, let's take a look at that. The gap fill stats. If you look at NQ, this is the one I posted, and I went by size. So
are you on year to date?
Yes, year to date is pretty much what I lay on, and right there it is. Tell me how strong we gapped up that day, and we gapped up. I think it was right at 0.15, 0.19, somewhere in there. It was right to the top of that first category. And I looked at this on Sunday night. I sent it in a group chat. I sent it in Discord to a lot of our members, and I said, look, this is a high probability. It may take all night to play out. It may take all day Monday to play out. I don't care. I'm going to stay on that side of the trade until it plays out, or until I'm wrong. 90+% odds. I mean, I don't know about you, Andre, but 90% odds.
Some people, when you hear 90%, you get like skittish about it, because you hear there's a lot of people online that will be like, oh, my 95% win rate, this or that. But you're using the entire, this is year to date. Like, we're talking about almost an entire trading year of data, and this has happened 94% of the time. Like, to me, I completely understand if it raises a flag in someone's mind, but just look at the setups. Like, this is such a clean short. There's not even a green 5-minute candle for the first 6 bars. That is such a clean setup, such an easy setup to take. And when you rely on the data, it makes your life so much easier as a trader. And that's literally the point of Edgeful, is so you don't rely on your emotions. You don't rely on anything else. You pull this up in the morning. You say, here's my gap size. And the what's in play is going to help with this, which I know you talk about all the time.
Sure.
But the what's in play will be able to do all this for you by size, by weekday. It'll tell you everything. So you don't even have to figure it out. So like I know you go now and you have to go and measure the gap size with your favorite tool, the measuring tool on TradingView, which is also
our favorite tool.
Our favorite tool. But it will tell you the like the gap size by weekday, by everything, like by time, like it will tell you everything. And we're obviously like developing more. Like it doesn't do that right now, but we're developing it as like every day goes on. But yeah, when you rely on the data, it's so much easier. And it's ironic that you brought this specific setup up because we just released a new report that is very similar to the trade that you took.
Okay.
So I'll show you that.
You know, I'm always excited for these new reports.
Yeah.
And you guys, I don't want to tell you to slow down because what you're doing is fantastic, but sometimes it's hard to keep up. We've got new reports, new indicators coming out. It seems like on a weekly basis. Of course, a lot of those are crowdsourced or trader sourced, right? So
exactly.
It's fantastic seeing, you know, traders that we all have different styles, right? Or different things that we really, you know, use as far as a strategy. And to see these new reports come out, you know, every once in a while, you know, maybe a few of them, I'm like, okay, that's cool. I can see how that's useful for somebody. But then there's one that pops up and I'm like, oh, I love this. The one you showed us last time, the orb by levels, actually really I've been using that one a lot as further confluence. So, you know, shout out to you on that one. But what's this new one you got for us today?
So this is, and I'm going to go to a 30-minute here, and I'm going to show you. I think that you're going to like this one. My Wi-Fi is a little bit finicky. I don't know. It's like taking a minute for both of these to load. Like I'm waiting for my market sessions indicator to load. It like never takes this long.
Mine's been doing that a little bit lately too. I'm wondering if it's on TradingView's side.
Yeah,
because all of my indicators, not just the Edgeful ones, but just even some of the basic ones have taken a moment.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So this is a new report, and it's all the way at the bottom. It's the final in the futures, crypto, and Forex. All the way at the bottom here, weekly open retracement. So what this report checks is how often does price retrace to the Sunday 6 p.m. opening price. So what you want to do is mark out your Sunday open right here, this green line that I placed. In this case was very close to that gap fill you were looking at. And then what this report will check is how often, when the New York session, that Monday open, opens above, how often does it retrace? When it opens below, how often will it retrace to touch? It will measure this entire week. So it gives it the whole week to retrace back to this green line or that Sunday open. Now, I didn't even know this because I forgot, because we always check these, but I forgot that on NQ, it has a ridiculous retracement rate.
Well, I'm already looking at the stats on the screen going, wow.
Ridiculous retracement rate. So 93% of the time in the last 6 months, and even if we go to year to date, 92% of the time in the entire year, for every time prices opened above the Sunday open, it has retraced this week. And every single time this year, when prices opened below the Sunday open, it has retraced at some point this week. So we just released this report. It's brand new. And this has crazy stats. The stats are very strong on ES2, and I'm sure that on other tickers as well. But this is extremely strong data to say, I want to expect price to retrace to this Sunday opening price.
That's really interesting. And if you look, I mean, just the first eyeball test that I put on this, you know, look at it's created an SR flip, right? Is it basically an SR? You know, it's a support resistance line in a way. And you look, we came into it twice and rejected it, which I've always kind of watched that, and a lot of times I draw that, right? I'm like, where did we open the week at, right? And I mean, I watch previous week's range, previous day, high and low, those kind of things a lot, right? Because a lot of times you love to back test, and that's one of my, you know, one of the things I look for all the time. And I'm looking at this, and not only does this create a perfect visual using this indicator, but it also it puts data right behind it. So not only can I throw the indicator on for the visual, I can also go quickly into Edgeful and say, okay, well, what are the stats on this thing? You know, especially if, let's say we gap down, like you were mentioning, we gap down, and it was, you know, today's Wednesday, and we haven't come back and tested that. I'm gonna, the longer that week goes on, I'm feeling like, okay, at some point, right, the stats are probably gonna get better. Now,
I
do
want
you
to show
have?
you
Oh,
something.
that's where I was going with this. I was like, I bet you have a weekday that tells you, you know,
Yep.
as the
So
week goes on, if it gets further away, maybe it doesn't come back.
so this checks only the weeks that did retrace, and 70% of the time, it's going to happen on the Monday. Then, obviously, I like there's a huge fall off from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So if it hasn't happened by that Wednesday, you do not want to expect it to happen.
Interesting. Yeah. So if
Yeah.
it's not, yeah, if it doesn't happen quickly, then and that almost it makes sense already as a trader in my brain. I'm also going, okay, if we don't do it quickly and we're just pushing away from it, now we're starting to look at a trend. We're starting to
Yep.
see a trend away from it.
Yeah.
So that actually makes sense. It's kind of like when we look at the gap fill stats. We mentioned that one earlier. The
Yeah.
longer you go through the day, and you guys have the report for this as well. The longer
Yeah.
you go through the day, those
Yeah.
stats actually get a little bit worse.
Yeah.
What is it? I think by noon or something that you guys have it on here.
It's customizable, so you can change it to whatever time
Oh,
you
okay,
want.
yeah, you can go through all of them now. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think by like noon or so, if we haven't filled a gap, like those stats tend to get worse.
Yeah. So if you look at the gaps up, for example, 80, and this is year to date, 86% of the gaps up have filled before noon. So if it hasn't filled by noon, now you're dancing in this territory right here, 14%.
I don't like that
Not
number.
really something you want to be going for. Like, just try to live for another day. It might happen. And again, this report too, it only checks the gaps that have filled. Obviously, it has to because we determine the time by the ones that have filled. But here, 14%, you're playing the wrong side of the odds now. You want to put yourself in high probability areas, and obviously, expecting it to happen before noon is that high probability area. So there's one other thing that I want to touch on.
Yeah.
On the weekly open retracement. So for this, if you go to the customize button, well, actually, I want to touch on it a little bit first, how it actually works.
Okay.
So we have the New York session selected here. You can only select the London and New York sessions for this. But what happens is you need to look at where the open of the New York session is, which is typically how we do it. This is how we do everything. But right here, you can see that the New York session opened above. So if it did something like this, and it retraced before the start of the New York session, came back up and opened here, this would not count as retraced because it has to retrace in the New York session. So
okay,
if it does this between Sunday and New York, it will not count. You can only start to count it in the New York session.
So, and we have a lot of traders that focus on that, right? If there's people out there, which I can understand both arguments, but there's people out there that say if this doesn't happen during regular RTH, regular trading hours, or the New York session, then I don't even count it. That's not my personal view, but I do put some weight into some of that theory. So that's an interesting aspect of this is that you want to see it happen during the New York session, which is the bulk of. I mean, that's the most important thing, right, to the market. That's when the real action's actually happening. So I love that you can distinguish that.
Yeah. Same thing for London too. I don't imagine we have too many London traders, but what I'm going to do is I'll show you how it works for London too. So for those of you who are watching, this is the market sessions indicator. We have 30 custom private TradingView indicators that you can get access to right here. The way to get access is you just click get access now and put your TradingView username right over here. And the way you find your TradingView username is up top on the left. You click on your profile button and your TradingView username is going to be right here. So once you put in the thing, you click get access, you're going to see all of your indicators pop up in this invite only section. And the one that I'm using here is market sessions. Personally, I recommend having this on your charts at all times, but I'm going to double click on it and I'm going to turn on my London session and turn off New York. And you're going to see these green boxes appear, which I don't know why it is going to take a second here. But so these green boxes now are the London session. And in this case, I'll just walk you through how it works from scratch here. It did open above because the London session opened above. and it didn't touch on Monday, but it did touch on Tuesday because technically it opened below, so it did get to that point.
Right, because the next London session's below. Yeah, so if you connected the dots between the two London sessions, you've now completed the retracement.
Correct. Yeah, and you're looking specifically at where it opens. That's like the anchor of what bucket you should be looking in over here. So Monday opened above, and then Tuesday was below. Like if price, you're pretty much saying, is there any point in the week where the low is lower than this open right here? And if yes, which obviously it was, that would count as a retracement. But then also, I'll switch back to New York quickly. And I'll switch back to New York. And then what I'm going to do here is that we have a customization. So for some reason, a lot of people there was like a ton of requests for this. I don't know if it's like an ICT concept or whatever, but they said, I want to exclude Monday. I want to exclude Monday. So I was like, I don't know why you didn't do that, but whatever, you get to choose. It's customizable. I don't care if you want to exclude all the weekdays except Friday. So if you go to customize, you go weekdays to use, and now you have this selection where you can exclude a Monday. So I'm going to explain how this works too. So now the data does change. Obviously, I mean, not really drastically. There's still a high probability that it will touch, even if you start on Tuesday. But the way that this works now is we're completely ignoring this data right here. We're completely ignoring that. So pretend that doesn't exist. Now this week would count for opened below. It would count for an opened below because the Tuesday, the first day that you have selected, which would be a Tuesday, is below, and it did retrace. It did wick yesterday to that weekly open. So I just wanted to mention the customization because if you exclude a day, the open criteria to tell you what bucket you're in is going to be the first weekday that you start with, obviously, because you're completely ignoring the Monday data.
Yeah, and that's, I love that you highlighted that because the different reports that you guys have, it's not just, hey, here's a report, learn how to use it. They all have pretty much some level, if not multi-level customization so that you can fit it into your trading strategy. And that's one of the things I like the most about using Edgeful is because there's certain, like, for example, the orb, I hear people talking about 30-second orb. I have people that talk about 15-minute. I have people, several different, methodologies, I guess would be the term there. I personally like the 30-minute. That's where I found my, my success rate as far as my strategy. It's what I like to use. And I can customize it straight to that. And that goes along with almost any of these reports is that you can customize it to fit whatever your concept or your strategy is. I love that about these reports from Edgeful.
Yeah. What we try to do with these reports is give you all of the tools you need to discover a new idea and say, I like this idea. You know how like before you were like, oh, I could see how that's useful, but like, it's not really for me. And then there are other ones where you're like, I like this one.
Right.
We don't want our traders to be looking at every single report. We want you to find a handful, maybe 5, maybe 6, maybe 3 that you really like, that click with you, that you can customize and start to refine. So even for this one right here, if it doesn't work for you, that's totally fine. We definitely have something else for you.
We have something for you.
Yeah, we have something for you. But if you do like it, now you can start to really refine it. Like we get questions all the time about a 30-second orb. And we don't actually receive the data in that small of an increment. So like we can't do a 30-second orb because we don't get the data in 30-second candles. It's such a monstrous amount of data that it's not something that we're going to do right now. We're going to get it eventually, of course, but we go down to the 5 minutes. So now people go to the 5 minute, 15, 30, and now we allow you to go to like whatever you want. If you want to do a 2-hour orb, which is just like practically an initial balance at that point, but we allow you to do it. And we don't really care how you use it if you're finding success with it. And we want to just give you the tools to find some sort of edge, and then you can do whatever you want after that. You can use it, you cannot use it, you can refine it. And that's the entire point of Edgeful. We want to make data digestible and intuitive, and like, so you don't need a PhD to understand how to like develop an edge in the markets. Like, you can just open this up and get like a nice interface and develop an edge or find your edge in one day.
Yeah, absolutely. If you are, I love this example, and if I think you've pretty much hit on everything on this one. Do you have any other reports that you were planning to go over?
So there was one. I'm not sure if you personally will use it or if you're interested in it, like if it's like part of your trading style. I know you look at Globex, so maybe. But the way that this one works is, let me set it up here. So what I'm doing here is I'm putting on my Asian range. I'm putting on my Asian session.
Okay.
And what this one shows right here is a pretty decent example. Based on the high and the low, based on the range made in the Asian range, how much continuation to the downside can you expect in the New York session, and how much continuation to the upside can you expect in the New York session? So you can see here, the average extension downwards is 0.7% on NQ. So let's look at this. And right here, yesterday was 0.6, minus 0.6% from the Asian low. So what this will tell you,
I see what you're doing.
What this will tell you is, what is my kind of like the range for based on the Asian range. If the Asian range is bigger, then maybe I can expect a bigger move in New York. If the Asian range is smaller, maybe I can expect a smaller move in New York. And this will kind of help you understand, okay, where should I put my profit targets? Exactly.
That's how my brain is running. You know, my ADHD brain, it's already running there. So, you know, I'm looking at this example. I'm playing along a little bit with my my same setup. So I have multiple windows here, of course. If you see me looking around like this, it's because I'm looking at what you're doing and I'm like putting it into practice at the same time. But I'm looking at the same thing. And if I did take that short in the morning and I'm looking for targets, you know, obviously that London, I can just visualize the London low would be one of my targets, right? So that'd be your Globex low to that point. So right there where he's pointing. And then maybe the previous day low. But if I'm looking for a further extension target, maybe a full target, I'm looking at this going, why wouldn't I? What's the average move down on this breakout? And I can use Globex to kind of gauge that. I actually really like this concept.
Yeah. I didn't know. I know you do look at Globex definitely more than some of the other traders that I talk to. So it's always interesting. Like, and this was Monday this week. You go from the Asian low, just for anyone who's like wants to like another example, from the low Asian low to the low of day, and now you can see this is 0.75%. So it's like 0.7, 0.6, 0.8, maybe like 0.5.
Now take that same drawing or that same measurement and go draw that same measurement, but stop at the average. Go back to where you just were. Start at the Asian, draw that same thing, and stop where it would be that average.
Right here.
Now look at that impulse candle.
I'll do a nicer here. I'll do a nicer one.
Yeah.
Here, right here.
And the reason I'm saying this is because if you look at that, if you had your target down there, look, that first impulse candle wicked right back up off of that exact area. And I was visualizing that as you were drawing the first time. And I said, look, let's show this visual, because even though it did go a little bit beyond the average, you can see immediately, you can see buyers and or covers, either one, right? It could be buyers, it could be just profit taking right there in that area. So that, I think that is a fantastic tool. I love this example.
Yeah. One of the things in trading that I think especially beginner traders kind of struggle with is you're never going to catch the whole move. You're never going to catch the whole move, and you don't need to catch the whole move to make very good money. Like in this case, like if you're going to be upset over leaving like 10 points on the table, you have a big problem.
After a 150 point move, come on.
You have a big problem on your hands.
Yeah, like, that's a greed and psychology problem. That's not a TA problem at all.
Yeah, exactly. And going for the averages, there will be days where the averages are not going to be hit, and there will be days where the averages are blown out of the water. But if you go for the averages, that's where the consistency lies. Like, you bat for singles, you bat for doubles. Every once in a while, you go for a home run. But batting for singles, batting for doubles will make you so much money. Like, people don't understand that. I think it's $200 a day is like $75,000 a year if you trade
Yeah,
every day.
imagine that. Well, imagine
Yeah,
people that go to their day job and work, a 7, 8 hour shift, and
yep,
depending where they live in the country, but that's probably a decent paycheck. You made $200 a day, in most areas. That's a pretty decent paycheck for a normal, 9 to 5 or 8 hour type of shift.
yep,
And people get greedy when it comes to trading for some reason. They're like,
yeah,
$200 isn't enough, and it's like,
yeah,
Ichiro is in the Hall of Fame, or going into the Hall of Fame of baseball, for hitting
yeah,
base hits, and that's
yeah,
the mindset I always go back to when it comes to my trading.
yeah,
Is I'm not trying to capture the entire move, and I'm trying to play the averages, because anything outside of the averages, if it's less than the average, hey, okay, I'll take that loss, right? Because it's outside of the normal. If it's way
yeah,
over the average, hey, I'll take that too. Big deal. It went further, great. I caught the move I was wanting. I caught the move that typically happens,
yeah,
and I'm good with that.
exactly. And I was wrong about the calculation. I just did it. 252 trading days in a year times $400. If you do 400, it's $100,000. If you just go for $400, which people
Six
are like,
figures.
oh, who cares? Who cares about $400? Probably, if you do this consistently, it's more money than like you make at your normal job.
So I mean, 6 figures, and if you are just patient, if you put data behind your trades and you're
Yeah,
patient, let these setups come to you, you can make 6 figures in you. And I think that's a perfect roadmap. I think a lot of newer traders, they don't really know what they're doing or where they're
yeah,
going, and they don't approach things the right way. But if you look at this, that's a great example. I know that's not even, Edgeful. That's just in general, right? That is,
yeah, yeah.
hey,
Totally
if
outside.
you hit these base hits as a trader, you can make 6 figures in a year. And you don't even have to be in front of these screens all day long. You can look at the
Yeah,
setup, you can look at some of these, honestly, you can use Edgeful as the tool to get you there. And
yeah,
I think you should. Because if you find the setups that you like, you hit your base hits and you get out. And you're
yeah,
done, you're done for the day. Don't give the profit
yeah,
back when your probabilities start going down. That's one thing that Edgeful's really helped me with is, okay, I have these high probability setups. I'm doing
yeah,
great. But what I've really eliminated from my trading is the low probability stuff. And I think
yeah,
that's as much of a key to this as anything is, okay, you can take the winners, but can you eliminate the losers? Can you stay
yeah,
out of the low probability setups?
yeah. And it's a trading. I'm sure you've heard of this before. Trading is about making money, but it's also almost as importantly as keeping it.
Holding on to it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can make if you can make $10,000 in a day, that's great. But if you blow it the next day, it doesn't really matter. Like, if you're going to take low probability setups, like setups that you don't even really know the odds on, I mean, it's just hard to stay in this game if you aren't gonna have data on your side. Like, I mean, I know it's like it's bias coming from me, but like, we built this company because of this. We built this company because I actually needed this as a trader. This was not some idea. Like, I'm not some like random guy that like was doing marketing and was like, you know what? I think traders need some analysis tool. I worked in finance. I worked at a hedge fund. I worked at Goldman Sachs. Like, I started trading on my own, and I was like, I need something like this because there's no way that people can like successfully trade without a tool like this. It just makes your life so much easier. And like, I'm not even trying to come off as like salesy. Like, I'm just being so
No,
genuine. Like, it's so hard to be successful in this game without data on your side.
it is, and I love what you just highlighted there, because you've mentioned this in the past. My favorite part of this, just to take it one step further, and we'll get back to some of the reports. You built this on Excel sheets yourself before
Yeah.
it was ever even a company or a product or anything,
Yeah.
a tool for people to use.
Yeah.
This was your Excel sheets, right? And
I still have them.
they got overloaded. I love going back to that example.
Yeah.
It's so crazy to me to think that, you did this on Excel sheets before it became an actual platform, and now
Yeah.
it's helping, hundreds if not thousands of traders out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I don't know what y'all's total users are up to now. I'm sure it's grown.
Yeah,
I've watched it grow.
Yeah, I know you've been around forever. Yeah, it's growing really nicely, which we're really proud of. But what's most important, honestly, is the the testimonials that we get. Like, oh, I passed the challenge. Like, I made one of our users in the Discord made $7,000 trading at the initial balance the other day in the London session. She was like, thank you so much for telling me about this, because now like I've been able to, like, I mean, not to be like corny, but like I've been able to print money from it.
Yeah.
Like, thank you so much. Like, this is so useful.
I've got those exact comments, even from my posts that I put out. I try to screenshot a data report that has either helped me or I see as a potential, help for people, and I send out about one a day. I'm not going to give out all the sauce for free, of course, but I do try to send it out there and show everyone, okay, here's an example and stuff. And I've gotten multiple responses. And the example we talked about earlier with that gap stat from Sunday night, basically, I got multiple responses to that saying, hey, you kept me out of a bad trade, or hey, you made me some money. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for putting me on to Edgeful. I've got that same response several times. And that's what I love about it too, is when I see other people are actually making money off of something that, is out there. I'm like, yes, I brought it to your attention. Great. That's the easy part for me. Right. And then you took it and ran with it. You made the decision. So, congrats to all of you that have done that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's always, I mean, that's like, honestly, again, not to be corny, but like, it really is like some of the best part of it is being able to like change some of these people's lives.
Yeah.
And like, of course we want to build a company. We want it to be super successful. Like of course, right? Byproduct of that, like, we can't have a successful company unless we're making a lot of people a lot of money. So what we want is to make a lot of people exactly. Yeah, exactly.
We're cheering for everybody to win here. That's great.
Exactly. And we just want to make sure that our users understand how to use it and how to apply it. And we're coming out, which I know that we've spoken about before, but we're coming out with a completely new design. It's going to be a lot more personalized, and there's going to be a lot more explanations and making things easier to digest, because we do have a lot of reports right now. We have a lot going on. And you mentioned even earlier, you don't even need to add more stuff. Like, we don't need to add more reports at the moment. If we just kind of educate people more on the reports that we have, like, you have an arsenal of stuff to make money now.
Oh yeah.
And that's what the new design is going to be based around, is more explaining and telling you where to start and how to get started and like how to apply these reports. And we just released this a completely free newsletter called Stay Sharp that you can sign up for on the bottom of on edgeful.com, like all the way down. We walk you through, like, it's a weekly newsletter. We'll walk you through exactly how to apply some of these reports. So we've done one for the gap fill, we've done it for the orb, and we've done it for the opening candle continuation.
Yeah.
And we just want to help people understand how these things work and how to apply them, because once you get to that light bulb moment, like, you're good. Like, you just need to get to that light bulb moment where you're like, I get it now. And then like
breakthrough point.
Exactly.
That breakthrough point.
Yeah.
Andre, there's two things that I'd like to hit on, if you don't mind. First off, you mentioned the explanations that you have. So that's one thing I do want to highlight. All of these reports, if you look down, just scroll down just a little bit, all of these reports have a visual explanation right there. It has a breakdown just below that actually gives you, hey, this is what the report does. Here's kind of what does it measure? So you've got another, and then it kind of gives even a third explainer paragraph over there. You have a chart example right there.
Yeah.
And then you have the videos, and these videos, and they're fantastic. I watch these all the time. You do a great job with them, by the way, Andre, but the videos themselves, these aren't 30-minute videos on how to do a strategy, right? These are 3 to 4 minute videos that explain how this report works, what it measures, and kind of shows a quick live example right there on the video. Short and concise, and they're fantastic. I do want to highlight every one of these reports. If you're on Edgeful, every one of these reports has all the information you need down below so you can actually learn to use it as well. So it's not just, hey, here's some reports, figure out how to use this data. Here's how the data, because when I see a new report, one of the first things I do, I go to that report and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. What is this actually measuring? What's the basis behind it? I need to understand the report before I can put it into my strategy. And we have all of that stuff right below. So I do want to highlight that for everyone.
Yeah, no, it's the videos. I'm really happy that you mentioned that they're short and quick. I do that on purpose. I don't want people to like be, oh, I need to commit 30 minutes to this video. I don't feel like doing it right now. At most 5 minutes. I think maybe the longest one we have is 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Like one of the longest ones we have, I think, is 7 minutes, because we want you to, well, first of all, we keep everything as simple as possible. It's like part of the core of Edgeful. We want everything to be as simple as possible, as quick, as digestible. I know traders need to act fast. They need to understand quickly. We don't want it to be intimidating, and that's why we keep them short. But if you come across a new video, or a new report rather, just scroll down straight to the video and then just watch it. You'll understand exactly what it's measuring. You'll understand the different examples, and you'll understand how to actually like plot it on your chart. The same way that I did the weekly open in the video, which is not live on there yet, but I already recorded it and it's being edited and going to go live. You're going to see exactly how I do it. I click on the thing. I mark out the level. I explain, here's the open, here's the retracement, here's the customization, everything. So anytime like you need any context, just reference the video. And we have also the how do sessions work here as well. So if you ever forget how the custom sessions work,
Asia, London, how can I change them? Yeah, exactly. And those are customizable too. We mentioned that earlier, that you can customize the session. So, if you want to put a different time frame. So some people that I trade with, they actually just look at Globex as a whole, and they've changed that session up. So where is my Globex range? And they'll just go from literally that open at 6 Eastern till the market opens at 9:30 the next morning, and they'll highlight that. They've customized their own box and their own report data just for Globex, instead of separating it by Asia and London or whatever other session that can sometimes overlap.
Yeah. I mean, we're trying to make an impact here in the trading space, because unfortunately too many people lose money, and we're changing that. It's just a matter of time of getting people to get to that light bulb moment. Like once you get it, I wish that I can, like my goal is to make sure that people can get to that light bulb moment as fast as possible. Like if you can get there within 1 or 2 days of opening Edgeful, watching the videos, doing whatever you need to do, if you can get to that light bulb moment within 1 or 2 days, like you're golden. And also, I mean, for $49 a month, like one trade pays for your whole month. One trade will pay for your whole month.
The gap fill. Just go to the gap fill report, take it one time a week, and you've easily covered it. I mean, the gap fill report, I think, is the most powerful report I've ever seen. It's one of the most powerful strategies I've ever seen. It's my favorite, and I love that in y'all's What's in Play, which we haven't really highlighted much yet on this this stream, but the What's in Play is fantastic. And it's the first one I see on there, and I'm glad it is. And if you ever move that, Andre, I'm going to call you directly and tell you that you messed up, because the gap fill, I think, is one of the strongest reports that you guys have. It's one of the strongest strategies in the market, and the fact that you guys have it right there in front of my face every morning when I open up Edgeful What's in Play, it's fantastic. And right now we don't have the live example because we filled the gap on like the second candle of the day this morning. But I was tracking it, and if you guys follow me on X, you saw on my timeline, I was tracking it as we were playing out that trade that we talked about from Sunday night into Monday. As that gap was filling, it was sitting there showing.
We're actually, I think, a few ticks away from filling it. Here, I'll check it right now once this loads, because the Edgeful saying it hasn't filled. And
on NQ it has not. Oh, that's right.
If you look, because I was like, wait, did it fill? And then now
the New York session, I was looking at QQQ earlier. But for the New York session, we have not.
Yeah, it's 2 ticks away from filling.
Interesting. So, well, that's perfect then for my example here, because if you look live right now, I need to switch mine over here to NQ to take a look too, and that's an example of how you can you can skin a cat a million ways, right?
Yeah.
I don't recommend that, but that's just the old saying. But if you but if you look distance to target this entire time, it's telling me what the size is and how far away I am and what direction I should be going in. And that's what I love about this. And I was watching this on Monday. I wish I would have just recorded my screen the entire time, because I was watching it on NQ. Okay, I'm this far away, or on QQQ, same. I'm this far away from the gap. I'm this far away. Boom, it filled. Boom.
Yep.
And I even sent out the screenshot. And then I immediately flipped over to ES and said, okay, well, now we're 4 points away on ES. Now we're 3 points, 2 points. And I just watched it in real time with the live data feature. I absolutely love this feature. So we had to get to this one, Andre. I'm sorry if I sidetracked us. We had to get to the what's in play, because it's a game changer. So the reports are fantastic, but this was the next level thing I was waiting on. We talked about it in the summer. We finally got it here. When did it come out live? Around September, I think.
Yeah, August? I think so. September. We've gotten a lot of feedback, which is great, and we're looking to improve it. It's still in beta right now, so we only have the 4 reports. I have an entire list of reports that are probably over 10 now that we're going to get out as soon as possible to add into the what's in play. But we're also adding, which I think that you personally will love, is a screener for the what's in play. So right here, ignore the Microsoft logos. These are just going to be, this is like a template. So we're in the design environment right now. This is going to be the new design. But what you can see here is that you'll look at the gap fill report and you'll be able to see NQ, ES, gold, oil, like whatever you want in one screener. So you can see, okay, NQ gap up, ES gap down, gold gap up, oil gap up. And you can see, did they fill, did they not fill, all on one screen.
Andre, I have one quick question that did come in. When we talked about that 93% probability of filling the gap, is that the same day or just eventually filling that gap? And
always.
I know the answer, but I want you to give that one out.
So I will give you the example right here. So I'll go to this is fun. So the way that it works, you want to mark out, which we have the indicator for if you want to use the gap fill by session. By session is really important because we should fix the naming convention, but by session is for futures, crypto, and Forex, like anything that actually has sessions. And then the regular gap fill is for equities. So if you're using QQQ, ES, Tesla, you want to use regular gap fill. This one will not actually work on futures. So make sure if you're on NQ or whatever, gap fill by session is the one that you want to look at. So what it measures, that 93% means that when there's a gap up, which happened right here, you can see this yellow line is the previous close, and that's referencing the previous session's closing price right here. What it's measuring is how often does price touch the previous closing price only within this session.
Within the session. That's the important piece there.
So if you have the New York session selected, you are looking from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time. If the gap fills at 4:15, that will not count. That this day will count as not filled. It will only count as filled if it touches within this session. So it's extremely actionable for today. Not 3 weeks from now, not 2 months from now, today. How often is this going to happen today? And those 93% that we were talking about is today, within this session. Now,
exactly. And also that candle, I love that candle highlights. So it puts an orange box around the candle. When that gap's been filled, like as I'm watching it in real time, I see that gap fill and that candle light up orange. I'm trimming something. I always, whether it's a small trim based on a bigger move I'm looking for, but when I see any gap fill, not only, sometimes you're playing something more than the gap fill, right? But to me, you got to trim there, right? You got to. And I see that orange box. It's like, boom, order filled.
Yeah. Boom, order filled. I love it. Yeah, it's the gap fill, in my opinion, is the closest. I mean, I would never, ever use the word holy grail because there is no holy grail in trading. But the closest thing for me personally, for my trading style, for my personality, for the way that I like to trade and the way that I look at the markets and the way that I view trading, to me, it is the GOAT. It is the number one without question. If I can only trade one thing for the rest of my life, it would be the gap fill strategy without question.
Yeah. And the fact, I mean, all the reports that you have and that you've created or created for others, and it's right there at the top of what's in play. I mean, like I said, I 1,000% agree with that because
Yeah.
to me it is the strongest, my favorite, and from what I've seen, in my opinion, it's
Yeah.
probably the strongest thing across the entire market.
Yeah, exactly.
I do have one other thing that I've seen that this is a personal request.
Yeah,
Order
good.
block. I saw this pop up on my indicators.
Yeah.
Order blocks. And it's something that I know a lot of people talk about, a lot of people use. I just threw this indicator on yesterday. And when I looked at it, I was like, oh wow, this is highlighting order blocks. I know a lot of people talk about and use order blocks as a strategy.
Yeah.
And I saw this come up, and it looks like, I don't know how new it is, or if maybe I just missed it because there's so many great features on here, but I have it on here. I'd love to hear you talk about it.
Yeah. So there's a few factors that go into this. It is a little bit older, so I forget the exact details, but pretty much the way that it works is it requires a spike in volume and a change in direction. So, for example, the one that was created today, if you look at the NQ on the 5-minute chart, you can see that there's a big spike in volume. That's why I just put the volume on here. The
Sure.
big spike in volume and a move in the opposite direction, like a strong wick here. So if you look back, and it's also customizable, so you can go through and you can add. So I'll zoom out for a second.
Yeah, multiple ones.
Yeah.
And actually, the example that caught my attention the most when I was looking at this before our stream this morning is actually on QQQ. If you don't mind, jump over to QQQ chart, because if you look at the order block that popped up yesterday, look where we at the bottom, actually both. Let's look at both examples here. So the one I caught my attention was the one at the bottom, which we just came down and we hit that order block, and you saw buyers there again. Same at the very top. And I think that's a very powerful tool a lot of people use. And I just want to highlight, this is something, like I said, I didn't know how long it's been there, because I have my favorites and stuff, but every once in a while I'm like, okay, what other tool can I just put a little bit into my belt here? Maybe, especially, sometimes I'm looking at the market and I'm like, okay, I don't really see anything sticking out to me, or I kind of like this. Do I have any other confluence? And so order blocks is something that I look at from time to time, and I noticed that it was on here and I wanted to see it.
No, this is not personally something that I use, and we don't actually have a report for it, but I know it is, as you mentioned, like super popular. So we wanted to make sure that we did have something for you on here, but it is very volume based. So every order block that gets plotted, you need to have a spike in volume for it to get plotted. And then the higher up you go. So what did I write here? So pretty much if you were to increase the volume pivot, it would require a stronger move and like a stronger order block. So it's still calculating here. And if you lower it, for example,
and I even go to different time frames, because on the 15-minute time frame, it's the one up top is just a giant box up there that every time we've gotten near it, we've run away from it.
Yeah. And we have it default to 5, but pretty much like if you want a stronger order block, you make the number higher. If you want it to be a lot more sensitive, you want it to be lower.
Sure.
So in this case, if we go to, let's just say 10, for example, I'm not sure on the 15-minute time frame, like what's going to plot, if it's going to change. But yeah, you can see, so the last 3, when you move up the volume input, will be from like 4 or 5 days ago. And then if you make it more sensitive, if we drop it down to 1, for example, they'll be, even if it's a lot more recent. So it's a lot more sensitive when you drop it down. It's a lot like pretty much, so the way that you can think about it is you don't want to hold as much weight to it when the volume input is lower, and you want to hold more weight to it when the volume inputs are higher.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I appreciate that. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, okay, I'm always looking for another layer of confluence, and that one really stuck out to me. And one thing I'm watching is, as long as we trade between those 2 boxes that were just on the screen, I really want to just kind of play it back to the middle, or just be careful, because it looks like when we get up into the upper one, it's going to get slapped down, but there's a big one that was waiting down there below us. So looking for that as well.
My trading view is being like really like shockingly slow. Is this happening to you too, or no?
It's been happening to me. Yeah, it's I want to say it's a trading view issue, because
I think it has to be, but
I've had it for a few days that it's especially if I have 5 reports or so on there and I change time frames or change tickers, and it's like, let me think about it for a minute. And I'm like,
Yeah,
gosh, do I need to call Dell and get a new laptop or what? What's going on
yeah.
here? But
But yeah, these
um,
were the two boxes you were talking about, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the low right there, the big one. Yeah. So
This
that
one.
one, and if you zoom out, you see that. So that's the area that I'm really looking for the first kind of big back test in the market
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, it looks good on QQQ or NQ, either one. And anytime
Yeah.
we get close to it, you're already seeing buyers kind of front run it a little bit and start to step in. So
Yeah.
we'll see how this continues to play out. I think there was one other report, and you may have a hard cutoff here. I just realized we're already an hour into this. We always have a good time. Time
Yeah.
always flies.
Yeah.
Do you have another engagement you've got to run off to?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
Let me check. I'm good until the 30 mark. So I have 30 more minutes if you're good. We don't have to go to 30 more minutes, but I do have 30
Sure.
more minutes.
There was one other. I'm just trying to find. And if you had anything else that you were going to highlight, I know we were going through some of the new reports. Would love to see any of that as well.
Those are the three. The three that I covered were
Okay.
opening, the weekly opening retracement, the bi-weekday version of that, and then the Asian range breakout by extension.
One thing I do want to mention, we are obviously crypto is a hot topic right now.
Yeah.
Crypto is finally breaking out. We were in, I mean, I can't remember what the exact measurement was, but I measured that kind of bull flag on Bitcoin on the daily or the weekly. And it was like 30 something weeks that we built out this structure, and we're finally breaking out of it. And I'm fired up for I'm not a big crypto trader. I mean, I'll trade anything at some point or another, but we were in that for so long. We're breaking out of it. But I do want to highlight the fact that, we talk a lot about futures because that's, kind of the main thing that I trade. We have all the equities and stuff out there, but I don't think people maybe realize that there's data on all this crypto as well, right?
Yeah.
You've got multiple crypto. How many crypto tickers do you even have on here?
So we try to keep it to the main ones because we don't want all like the.
Well, you can't do every
coin.
meme coin. Like we don't need all those, right? But yeah, I'm looking here. I've always just defaulted to look at Bitcoin and and Ethereum, but XRP may be back from the dead from what I'm hearing. I don't know a whole lot about crypto, but I'm hearing it's coming back from the dead potentially. But yeah, the fact that you have data on all these crypto tickers as well, I think that's important to highlight right now while crypto's in a full-on bull mode breakout. I mean, people are fired up. It's crazy when I start seeing Telemundo talk about Bitcoin, whenever I have, cousins or friends that I haven't spoke to in a long time, they're like, hey, what's going on? Should I buy some of this Bitcoin and stuff? That's when sometimes you think, okay, it's the top end, because that's,
I know
it's to like, that level, you get nervous, but instead of, worrying about the emotional side of things or the sentiment side of things a whole lot, data, right? It just always comes back for me. It always comes back to putting data with it. And so, I look at Bitcoin. I even highlighted this post yesterday. I was looking at Bitcoin and how many consecutive days that we've had, green in a row, and we were at like 7. And I was like, we should be in for a red day, which that's one of my favorite reports that I like to go to is, well, there's 2 of them, right? So one of them is green and red streaks by weekday. I really like this report whenever something is completely running. I mean, if you look at like Tesla would be another example right now when you see a massive breakout, a bunch of green days in a row. But Bitcoin had this same thing where we had multiple green days in a row. And I'm saying, okay, if we go back, 6 months, we go back a year. I actually, for this example, I went back the full 5 years that you guys have on here and saw that the maximum, it was right at 8 days. And so I made that post and I said, okay, we're close to the most we've ever seen in a row on Bitcoin. Every metric I'm looking at from a TA standpoint is telling me we need some type of pullback, at least a red day. And lo and behold, when I posted that yesterday morning, which I waited because Monday night I wanted to post it, everybody I think was just too excited. I said, I'm not going to rain on everyone's parade right now. So I waited until yesterday morning and put that out there, kind of as a little bit of a warning. Didn't mean like, hey, get out of the trade, but maybe don't buy right now. Maybe look and see if we do get a little pullback. And we did. We got the red candle. That's one of my favorite reports. And we did have a nice, I think it pulled back about 4% or so off the actual high, not from the
Yeah, it was almost
high.
exactly.
Yeah, so a pretty nice pullback. But that report I really like, which it's the green and red streaks by weekday. So anytime, and this goes for Bitcoin, just this is the current example, right? But the market itself, we had an example not too long ago with Apple that went on like a 9-day green streak, and it almost, I think it tied its this was probably back in maybe July or somewhere, but I remember this one clearly because we went on a crazy run. Yeah, from that low, right? That we went on that crazy run, and it was just green day, green day, green day, and I'm like, okay, wait, we're getting overextended here, so it's a good time to maybe lock in some profits. Or if you're super bullish on something, you can also use it to say, okay, let's find this next red day for a dip. Maybe I can expect the red day in the next day or two if I want to get in on a trade. So that's kind of the one way to look at that. And then the other report that I really like whenever we get on these trendy days, and it's the average consecutive bars. You've seen me post this one a lot. I know me and you have chatted about it a few times. I like this report, especially like I look at the 5-minute, I also look at the 15-minute. So for intraday trading, if I'm in on a trend and I'm looking, okay, where do I need to start getting out more and more? Once we get to, twice the average, this is kind of the way I've built this into my strategy. So on the report itself, if you look at either the 5 or 15-minute time frame, either one, when you get that many in a row, I look at it and I go, okay, what's the average here, and then what's the maximum? So if let's say the maximum, and as this loads, sometimes the servers have, it happens usually back within 30 seconds or so. But when I look at it and I see, okay, there's 7, 8, 9 consecutive green candles on a 5-minute chart, or 6 or 7 on the 15-minute chart, I look at it and I go, okay, not only are we getting close to the maximum we've seen so far in the last 6 months or year to date, but also I look at the average and I say, okay, what is the average we have? And if we get anywhere near double that average, I'm either looking to scalp a quick short, or I'm looking to get out. Or there's there's a third option. The third option is, okay, here's the pullback on the trend, maybe to get in. If it's a crazy strong, if there's something telling me like, hey, this is going to keep going, we just need some type of little red candle profit taking. But there's the report right there. When I see, what's that say, 9 on the max over there on the left.
9 green 15-minute bars.
If I see 9, if we get to 7, 6, 7, we're getting close to 9. I'm thinking there's a red candle coming. And also I see that average is 4.4. If I see 8, so not only are we, getting close to that maximum, but I really like that second one, Andre, the average green bars. Anytime we are double the average on anything, whether it's this report with the 5 or 15-minute candles, or even on a daily time frame, when our average, green days in a row is 2.5 on a certain ticker, and I see that we're at 5 or 6 green days in a row, I want to almost every time I automatically think, okay, I'm going to fade this. Maybe a counter trend trade, right? So it's all about context, and I've found that to be a very helpful tool. Now, honestly, a lot of people look at this report, and I've seen other people post this, and they say, okay, the maximum's this, we're getting close, and they kind of stop with that. I've watched this a little bit further, and I look at the average, and when we see more than double the average, it's almost automatic that the next candle is going to be red, and it's worked out for me probably 9 out of 10 times.
And just so you know, this is also coming to the what's in play. So you won't have to look for these anymore. You'll just be able, hey, we're at 7, the max is 9. We're at 8, the max is whatever, 10.
I love that, because
you won't have to look for them anymore. So you'll know short or like reversal expected because we're coming into the average, or we're at double the average, or like whatever else. So these are the ones that are the green, the day version of this, and the bar version is coming to the what's in play.
Don't get me too excited this morning. Okay, it's only Wednesday. So that the what's in play, we've talked about this. We showed it a while ago. the what's in play is fantastic because it's got the live data. It shows the live
Yeah.
updates throughout the day. It's a really quick way, especially me as a day trader. It's a quick way for me to get the information I need and see what's going on, right? If
Yeah.
I'm looking for a setup or if I'm in a trade and I need to say, okay, what am I looking at here? Boom, I can find that data real quick.
Yeah.
But a lot of those things, like the gap fill that we were talking, that we love, that we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
that one plays out pretty quickly a lot of times,
Yeah.
in the morning.
This is on
Well,
Apple, by the way.
yeah, so that one plays out pretty quickly in the morning. Then throughout the day, there's other setups that change, right? So having some of the more throughout the day items on there is going to be another fantastic step for this what's in play, which of course you mentioned it's still in beta, and it's this may be one of the best betas I've ever been around. I know any of my gamers out there, they know that like PUBG was in beta for like 5 years and it was fantastic to play, right? But it was in beta forever, but it was a great beta. This beta is probably one of the favorite beta things I've ever been a part of. I mean, to be 100% honest.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. We are really proud of what we're doing, but there's so much more work to be done that for us, we always feel like we're behind, which is probably the reason that we get so much out so quickly. That we always feel like we want to make waves in the trading space and we want to really make an impact. Like the way that TradeZella is the trading journal, like we want to become like the place for data. Yeah, like the place for data, the place where traders come to actually make money. And it requires so much work, so much effort, like things that like people don't really even realize. Like trying to get this tooltip to be as quick as just the stupid little thing to say something that is quick to understand, where you can read it in 1 second and just come off. Like there are so many steps to getting a report out that we always feel that we're behind because we know what's coming. That I'm really, I'm like honored that you said it's like the best beta that or one of the best betas that you've ever been a part of. But
it really is.
There's so much more that's coming that's going to improve this product like tenfold over the next 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said earlier, I've been around the Edgeful for, gosh, I don't know how long it's been at this point, but I've watched this develop in front of my own eyes very, very quickly too. So, great job, not just to you, but to your team behind the scenes. And the other thing, I can't imagine how many requests and messages and stuff. Honestly, I don't know how you have time. I was shocked that you had more time to spend with us this morning. We appreciate it, by the way. Thanks for joining us. But I don't know how you have time to do all the stuff that you're doing. I see you on on these live streams. I'll see you on Top Step TV from time to time. And then at the same time, I'm getting messages from you. Hey, this new stuff's out here. Hey, check this out. Hey, we've got this in the works, which there's several of those things going on too. So stay tuned. Make sure you follow the Edgeful account and stay tuned, because there are lots of things that you guys have in the works that, some things you can mention, some things that, maybe aren't quite out there yet, but we are excited about.
Yeah. The reason that the calls start in the afternoon. So that's one of the big pieces. So that's why I have time now. Anything pretty much, I get up at 6, I go to the gym, I'm back at the desk, showered and everything by 8. And then from 8 to noon is all my internal calls and any streams that I try to do. And then from noon onwards, from noon to 5 is where I take external calls. So that's 3 days a week. I take external calls, like with our users actually. So like
with the users, that's what I was about to mention. So when somebody has something, just to highlight this, because this is important, that you don't get this in many places. If you have an issue, or if you sign up for the platform and you're not sure about something, you have an issue, or you're trying to learn something, your call is with this guy. This guy right here on the side of my screen, the creator. It's not with some support team that's halfway around the globe or wherever. You're talking to the man himself.
Exactly. And the reason people say I'm crazy for doing that, and they're like, your time could be spent better in other places, which I actually disagree with. I mean, it's really gotten like it's no longer sustainable. Like just the amount of time it takes is just at this point like just too much.
Sure.
But what I want is I never want to lose touch with the actual user. So when I get on these calls, Not only will I give you a personalized explanation of how you can use Edgeful based on the assets you trade, based on your trading style, based on if you trade options, futures, crypto, forex, whatever it is, and if you like to scalp or you like to swing trade, I'll give you all the breakdowns of what you actually need. But then I also see the pain points, and I see the things that I'm like, I really wish that this was like this, and I wish that this was like that, and I wish that you had some section here, and I wish that I can have an alert that comes to my phone to tell me. And when I hear these things from our users, it helps me point the ship in the right direction, because I'm actually speaking to the users that I know what they want, and I'm not guessing what they want, because I'm speaking to 40 or 50 people a week. So
yeah.
The calls are super important for me to do personally, because when you play that game of telephone with like someone else that might take the calls, and eventually we're going to have to do it. But in the meantime, I want to stretch it out as long as I can, because the little pieces of the conversation that mean so much between get lost when someone has to play telephone. That, hey, yeah, this guy was happy, but he had
this
and this and that. Yeah. You lose the details that are really important to us. We're like, for example, if someone doesn't know how to do the trading view indicators, it's like, well, maybe we need to make it more obvious, and that might be something that gets lost. And like, for example, there are people that don't know about this, and it's not blatant enough for some people to notice, and that's on us to fix that. And it's on us to make sure that the users know what their arsenal is and how to take advantage of the whole thing, because you're paying for it. You might as well use it, because it's only going to improve your trading if you take advantage of the whole package. And yeah, the time management is pretty important. I have to admit, I'm better at it on some days than others. Like sometimes like Slack will just be like filled with messages that I'm just not able to answer, and then people will like ping me, then I get a text. But most days I'm very like on top of it, because we're trying. I mean, anything that's worth doing is incredibly hard.
Of course. And one thing I do want to highlight here as well is you're a trader. You're at heart. You're a trader. You were in the industry. But you're a trader. You're building this. It's essentially, it was built for yourself to start out with, right?
It was.
And this was your own. You built your own tool, and then now you're sharing it with everyone else. And so I think it is important to highlight that this isn't just, hey, this sounds great. Hey, this is data service. Blah. This is built by you for you first, and then hey world, look at what I've got here. I think this is valuable for everyone. We want everyone to win. Andre, take a second and tell us, there's multiple levels that you can sign up for. Maybe somebody out there is considering it. How can they get signed up? Okay, so we got one level now.
One plan.
Perfect.
Yeah, makes it a lot easier.
Yes, simple. Okay, I actually like that better now. It's just simple, because I'll get these questions from time to time, and I'm like, okay, let's have Andre answer this. So, if somebody wants to sign up for Edgeful, how can they sign up? What are they looking at when they sign up, and what all is included?
All right.
Because the trading view indicators, I think, is an underrated thing that I use them. I have a separate. So I have two trading view main setups that I use, right? I have one that I basically live on, which is, a 5-minute with some of my like EMAs and VWAP and some of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I have the Edgeful orb indicator on that one and the Edgeful pivot points, but then I have a couple and that's where I live. And then I have a second setup where I'm watching the gap fills, and it's basically all Edgeful reports. If I shared my screen right now, you would see Edgeful this, Edgeful this, Edgeful this. and I think those are an underrated part of what you get as a part of your Edgeful plan.
To be honest, so if you want to sign up, you go to edgeful.com. If you just type in Edgeful on Google, you type in Edgeful trading, Edgeful futures, whatever, it'll come up. But what's crazy is that people pay like $80 or $90 a month just for indicators. And for us, the indicators, we put them in the package, and it's not an additional, it's not more. So for us, it's $49 a month. The annual price is $39 a month, which is just like obviously coming from me is like the most no-brainer of all time. Like you were saying before, you take one gap fill trade, it's paid for. But that gets you all the assets. It gets you all of so stocks, crypto, forex, and futures. It gets you 5 years of data. It gets you all of the reports. It gets you the what's in place. So with the live data, it gets you the calls with me. It gets you the indicators. It gets you all of the new reports, and it gets you grandfathered pricing. It gets you report requests. It gets you trading view indicator requests. I mean, for
how many things is this? I need a list of this. This is incredible.
$49 a month. I mean, it's just. I mean, I don't know. It's just like such a
and the no-brainer. I mean,
it's just such a no-brainer.
Well, save $10. You pay the annual fee, and you save $10. It's $120 savings right there. It was quick math off the top of my head, right?
Pretty good.
$120 savings if you just go ahead and sign up for the year.
Yeah.
You know, knock it all out at once. Yeah. And honestly, you should be able to make that back just by if you apply these reports. You know, and I know this is cliche to say, but you should be able to cover the cost of this within a few trades. As you kind of figure it out, maybe it takes you a week or two. Yeah, you should be able to cover that pretty quickly if you put some of these high probability data, you know, with your trading system. Of course, proper risk. There's a lot of other things you need, but I honestly believe that you should easily make back that fee. So $49 a month, $39 if you pay that annual fee, and all that. I mean, I can't even regurgitate everything he just said that's included. I know most of it just because I'm a user myself. Yeah. And I think that's, you know, I want to highlight that for myself. I'm not just, you know, partnered with Edgeful because, hey, they're something to promote. It's great. No, I use this, and you guys that have watched my live streams, it's not just like, hey, this is a live stream to highlight Edgeful. This is, hey, no, this is me live trading right now using these tools because this is it's become, and I'm glad I came across you, Andre, back in March or whenever it was, because it took me to the next level. I've put that out there to the world. I've given that review or whatever you want to call it. Testimonial. I've given that testimonial that it actually did take me to the next level. I'm a huge fan of it. I'm a active user, and I even, you know, I send you messages all the time, and I know you get tons of messages, so I send them to you, and I know, hey, whenever you get a chance, come around to me because you know I'm good on my stuff. But I see things and I'm like, hey man, this is awesome. And it's funny, I get those messages from you too at times. You're like, did you see that gap fill trade this morning? I love that. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's I mean, I really appreciate it, to be honest. Like, it's like we get a lot of great feedback from our users. It's always great to hear, like on the calls, like on the streams, the positive, like, feedback, to be honest. It does require some commitment. You're not going to open it and just be like, oh, here it is, I found it. The light bulb moment is going to kind of come in. And just touching on that, and I know you've been pretty surprised about this, that we have that free trial, that 7-day free trial. We're actually going to be getting rid of that. The reason I don't
blame you.
The reason that we're going to get rid of it is because a lot of people try to cram learning it within the 7 days. And if they didn't have the time, maybe life got in the way or whatever, they just cancel and they're like, you know what, I couldn't figure it out. And we want to give you the opportunity to actually spend a month and elevate your trading and find your edge and actually like make trading easier for yourself. And if we remove the trial, it'll give you the freedom to say, you know what, I'm going to try it. I'm going to give myself 30 days to figure this out and to improve my trading. And so we are going to be removing the trial probably within the next couple of weeks. And I just wanted to mention that because every time you've said you still have that trial, we have the trial, but it's going away now. And we have that one plan. So all those that like fire off that I just did before with all the different features, everything is included in the one plan. So you don't need to think about like, am I getting everything, whatever.
Which plan's right for me? I'm intermediate. I'm beginning. No, it's, hey, I actually like that. I'm glad you went to that. That one package. Here's everything you get, everything that we offer, one package, one pricing. And I actually agree with that. So, you know, the 7-day free trial, jump in while it's still here because you can go take a look right now for free for 7 days. But I actually don't recommend the free trial because I want people to try it, right? But I agree with you. I don't think, and we just showed you this much of what's out there, right? in an hour and a half. We showed you this much of what's out there. There's no way that you can go find everything that's going to be useful to you in that sort of term, especially if you're trading, you know, you've got life, you've got kids and stuff. You're not going to be able to put the time into it. So I highly suggest give it that first month. jump in there at least for that first month. And if you don't want to commit to the year, I understand that. Sometimes I have commitment issues and certain things as well. But give it that month, get in there and look at how some of these reports and some of this probability will greatly improve your trading. Watch some of the videos. So Andre's got some great content. You can follow him on Instagram, the Edgeful on Instagram. They're on here on X. There's a YouTube channel. There's a lot of things out there. Watch how some of those and look at some of these other traders that use Edgeful, right? So you can see the branded icon next to my name on X. There's several others that have that same thing, and a lot of them are putting out. James Bruce is one that comes to mind real fast. Evan Dyer, some of those guys, they have some really good content about how they're using Edgeful as well. So don't just follow me and say, hey, this is how he's using it. This is how you use it. There are a million ways to use it. Everyone's got their different favorites and stuff. So go check all of that out. And boy, we're going, like always, we've been going for a solid hour and 20 basically at this point. And we're coming here to it's what, 11:30 almost Eastern out there. This time zone thing's got me. I'm excited to be back in normal Central time because we don't change the hour down here. So my computer, which is in Central US time, now matches up with my phone and all my local stuff here. That feels better. My brain still tries to operate in Eastern market time, which is the only time that matters to any trader in the world, I feel like.
Exactly.
But it's nice to not be in 3 time zones now. So now I'm back to 2. But coming into 11:30 here, you see it right there on your screen. You can get honestly, that's a steal to save $120, sign up for the whole year. Go check it out. Go for it.
One other thing is that we will never, ever discount. There's no Black Friday. There's no New Year's. There's no whatever. There's 0 sales. The sale that you get is the 20% off.
It's fairly priced
to the annual.
I like that. You're not playing games with people. I'm not going to single out. I'm not going to call anybody out or anything, but there's a lot of platforms out there that they have an astronomical high price. It's the old JCPenney. If you ever shopped at JCPenney, it's that model where that shirt never costs $60. It's always 30% off. It's always, and then another 20% off for, Mother's Day sale or whatever, Columbus Day. So they have every sale in the world, and you see even, whether it's, I'm not going to single anybody out. I'm not even going to go there, but a lot of these places you see, they show a price that they've never, ever charged. And they're always running a 70% off sale or 50% off Black Friday. The stuff's always on sale all the time. They're just playing games with you to try to get you straightforward. This is what the pricing is. Very fair pricing. All the stuff you get in it. I love that. Absolutely love that.
No. Yeah, I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure speaking with you.
Absolutely, Andre. I enjoy these. I think I enjoy these as much as anything that I do as far as, live trading spaces. I'm all over the place, but I always love these conversations. Andre, you're fantastic. We're gonna call this to an end here. We do appreciate your time, Andre. If you guys make sure you follow all the Edgeful accounts across all the different platforms. Get signed up. I've dropped a link in the chat on YouTube. I've responded to the live broadcast with a link as well. If you want to get there quickly, click on that link. Get the free trial while it lasts. But honestly, skip the free trial. Try it out for a month. See if it works for you. Give it the right time that it needs to get into your strategy. But anyways, great stuff. I'm excited for what is to come. I'm excited for the next stream that we get to do. Andre, appreciate your time this morning. And with that, I am going to shut this down. Thanks everyone that joined in this morning. I will be back live trading at some point. I think I have another live stream that I'm going to do this week. So stay tuned. Make sure you like and subscribe everything. Right now, I'm going to shut this one down. I will be back on Spaces here in just a few minutes. Live trading for the rest of the day. We appreciate you, Andre. Take care, my friend.